Hello people, this is Mark from Kharischangeworks. Guys, hope you are well. This is another little short story for you, and this one is really important for us to learn a couple of important truths. This one is all about temper, and we'll see a couple of important misconceptions in the story which I will explain as we go along. So before we get there, I'm going to ask you just to do all the YouTube admin. You know what to do. Hit the old thumbs up, the like button please. Comment, share, subscribe, and when you hit the bell, pick all. There's like a little sub menu that drops down from the notification bell. Pick all. Then that way you'll get all the videos that we upload on a day-to-day basis. Let's get to today's story. It reads like this. A Zen student came to Bankai and complained, "Master, I have an ungovernable temper. How can I cure it?" "You have something very strange," replied Bankai. "Let me see what you have." "Just now I cannot show it to you," replied the other. "Then can you show it to me?" asked Bankai. "It arises unexpectedly," replied the student. "Then," concluded Bankai, "it must not be your own true nature. If it were, you could show it to me at any time. When you were born, you did not have it, and your parents did not give it to you either." There you go. You see, the student thought that his temper was part of his DNA. It was part of his makeup. The master, on the other hand, knew different. So there you go. We all have a temper, for sure. Some control it successfully, others not so. But let's look at some of these little misconceptions that I note in the little story. The student says that he has a ungovernable temper. He has it. The master says, well, if you have it, show it. So at that point, what the master is saying, if it is part of your true nature, your congruent self, then you should be able to express it in any way, shape or form at any given time, because it is part of who you are. So that's the first thing I want to address is temper is not part of your normal DNA molecular structure. It's not. So how do we get this? The master has the answer. When you were born, you didn't have it. Your parents could not give it to you. You see, when we are born, our mind is tabula blanca, meaning blank tablet, nothing there. Everything we do, we have learned from others, whether it be our parents, whether it be our friends, the teacher, the whatever. We learn it from others because we tabula blanca. So we observe and we pay attention and then we try that what we've seen. So when we say, I have a temper, it simply means we've observed people lose their temper. We automatically assume that that's okay, that must be the right way to go because I've seen it. I've experienced it. I see it from time to time in multiple people. It must be okay. So therefore, I will adopt this behavior called temper, and now it becomes second nature. The lesson is, we weren't born with it. Our parents can't give it to us like there. No, you learn it from observation, paying attention. There you go. The other thing is, it's ungovernable. I can't control it. The lesson here is, he's probably right. A lot of people struggle with their temper. Few can control it a little bit. It's one thing exploding like an atom bomb. Yeah. Get all that pent up out. It's good. But just make sure that you bring it back down. Otherwise, you will lose far more than just your temper. And whether you think that that is okay, then crack on. But controlling your temper is a difficult task. It's possible, but it's very, very difficult. At that point in time, the emotions is rampant and we can't think straight because we are driven by feelings and emotions. When that line is crossed, as far as your moral compass is concerned, up here in your mind, strange things happen. So that's the other thing that we need to learn. The student then says at the question, show it to me. It happens unexpectedly. The lesson here is, really? Start being honest. Nothing happens unexpectedly, especially when it comes down to behavior. Nothing happens unexpectedly. There's always a trigger at some point that flips the switch in our mind that says, oh, hang on, something's happened, I need to react in a particular way. So we go through the database of our mind and says, I wonder what the most appropriate behavior will be concerning whatever stimulus, whatever trigger. And in this particular instance, it's temper. I'm going to lose my temper. I'm going to get angry. And all this. So we pick temper and we put it in the cassette player, so to speak. We put it in the player and we press play and out comes this behavior. The student failed to acknowledge that something happened before the event. And all he sees is the behavior. He doesn't recognize the trigger. Let's be fair. We choose to behave in the way that we do. Now, sometimes there are times where when you are that stressed out and your mind is going nuts because of cortisol and stress. It's difficult. I know. I've been there many a time. But the important thing is we need to be able to understand that sometimes that we've got friends and family that can play a role, who can help us out sometimes. We just need to ask. And sometimes it's humble pie time when it comes down to asking, hey, I need a bit of help regarding my temper, my choices. But we choose. And sometimes we just have to bear the consequences. So the student denies and rejects responsibility. He rejects ownership of his choices. Now, to my mind, it is simply this. When we have ownership of our own decisions, when we take responsibility for what we do and do not do, for what we say and do not say, it's pretty mature. It's grown up. When we decide that I'm going to lose my temper and I'm going to blame you, that's a different ballgame altogether. Let's face it, there's millions of people who make the choice They go out and steal and lie and cheat and do all sorts of things and then blame the other person. Then there's other people who cause problems. They deliberately go out and cause chaos. And the narc is one of those kinds of people. And then they blame the victim for whom they've caused problems when they do silly things. Because I've been there too. So, you see, it's a game of responsibility. It's this process that we go through, stimulus, response. Just so many people choose not to take responsibility. Is it that they're weak? Maybe. Is it that they are just irresponsible? Yes. Is it the fact that they would like to get other people in trouble? Probably. But the student needs to take responsibility for his behavior that he's learned. As far as I'm concerned, we need to understand what the triggers are. We need to understand that sometimes when we lose our temper and we lose the plot, so to speak, we need to take responsibility and say, I'm going to repair it. And maybe the best way to repair it is to deal with temperance and other characteristics that we need to strengthen. I'm not exactly sure what to do to help you for your own individual circumstances. But my advice is this. Find out what the trigger is. And once you have identified the trigger, go out and seek help as far as those things are concerned. And if you are the one who is causing the problems deliberately, if that's the way that you want to go, then okay. You will just leave a wake of people hurting and in a lot of pain for what? There's a lot of things out there that we can go out and do. Myself and Lara, we have studied hypnosis and other talking therapies. We can help you with these things. Anger and temper and these kind of things is something that we deal with. That's all I want to say in this particular little video is take responsibility for the stuff that you've learned, that you realize and recognize that isn't that helpful. And be bold enough to do something about it. Like I said at the top of this video, please do all the YouTube admin, particularly if you find this particular video useful. If it has, please pass it on to those who you think it would benefit. But for now, this is Mark from Kharischangeworks. I'll speak to you soon.